Welcome to another edition of Our City. As we move into April and more days of spring, we left behind a very cold March. Some people say March was colder than February for the first time in our history since 1984. On Wednesday, April 5th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going to join members of our senior community as they participate in a health walk at the Mills at Jersey Gardens. It's located at 651 Kapkowski Road. And for more information, please contact our Office on Aging at 820-4044. And on Thursday, April 6th at 5:30 in the afternoon, I'm going to attend a celebration and a reception in honor of Community Access Unlimited. It will be held at their facility located at 80 West Grand Street. It's a beautiful new facility with a great ballroom and a stage. Please join us. On Friday, April 7th at 10 o'clock in the morning, the Employee Health Fair will be held on the ground floor of City Hall. It is hosted by the city's Health and Human Services Department. And later that afternoon, around 3 o'clock, I'm going to be at the Terrence C. Riley, School Number 7. They have an Easter egg dyeing event. All these kids are going to start dyeing eggs. It's in an effort to break the Guinness Book of World Record for the most people dyeing eggs. This event will be held at the school located at 436 First Avenue, a fundraising event hosted by CMC Food Incorporated in partnership with the Farmer's Hen. Proceeds from this event will be donated to Family Reach, a charity which helps families battling the financial difficulties of the cost of cancer. And on Saturday, April 8th at 9 o'clock in the morning, the Women's Wellness Workshop in honor of the National Health Week. This event is held at the YMCA, located at 135 Madison Avenue. For more information, please contact our Health and Human Services Department at 908-820-4050. And immediately following that event at 9:30, I'm going to join the Department of Recreation and many young people throughout the city of Elizabeth at an annual Easter egg hunt sponsored by the city of Elizabeth and the councilman of the 2nd Ward, Nelson Gonzalez, will be held at Carteret Park, located at the intersection of Elmore Avenue and Vine Street. And following that Easter egg hunt, at 12 noon, there will be another Easter egg hunt sponsored by Councilman William Gallman and the city of Elizabeth up at Kellogg Park in the city of Elizabeth. And then after that, another Easter egg hunt at 2 o'clock, sponsored by Councilman Carlos Torres at 211 Madison Avenue in the city of Elizabeth. And that'll be located at Jackson Park. That's 211 Magnolia Avenue. I apologize. All of the Easter events will feature free candy, prizes, and participants are encouraged to bring their own baskets or bags, cameras to take pictures with the Easter Bunny. For more information, please call our Department of Recreation at 908-820-4222. And that evening, around 7 o'clock, I'm going to attend the Portuguese Instructive Social Club. Will have the 34th anniversary for a region in Portugal called Caldas. Usually the mayor shows up from Caldas. It's at 109 and Grove Street. For more information, please contact the Portugal Day Committee at 908-355-1222. And on Monday, April 10th, around 5 o'clock, members of the community will join me for a pizza party in City Hall of the Autism Awareness folks. This will be held in my office, 50 Winfield Scott Plaza. If you'd like to bring your child, for more information, please call Andrea Topping at 908-820-4050 in City Hall. If you need more information concerning these events or any other events, please call our Public Information Office at 908-820-4124. Please stay with us after these messages, where I'm going to be joined by members of the Elizabeth Rotary talking about the 100th anniversary.
We have some of the finest teachers in the country. And then they graduate. Kane University.
Welcome back to our city. I'm pleased to be joined by Mr. Doug Harris, and Mr. Kenneth Richuso of the Elizabeth Rotary Club. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good to be here.
Neither one of you are strangers to the show. So, the past president of the club, current chairman of the annual Taste of Elizabeth food tasting event, Doug.
Yes.
So you've been busy. Tell us a little bit about yourself as well, besides these events you do with Rotary.
Sure. It seems like Rotary is a big part of my life, and here in Elizabeth as well. I'm Vice President of Marketing and Public Relations for Trinitas Regional Medical Center. Served that organization for a long time, and Elizabeth General Hospital before that. And in those days, I joined Rotary in 1982. And I've been privileged to be a part of just about everything that has happened over the years between the food tasting event, served as president, served with Ken on the Albert and Louise Davis Scholarship Fund Board, and just had a ball doing it. And now very happy to be part of the 100th committee.
Good. And Ken, you've been on the show before, past president of the Rotary Club, current president of the Albert and Louise Davis Scholarship Fund that Doug just mentioned. So welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Tell us a little about yourself as well.
Lifelong New Jersey resident, retired insurance agent. Spent about 40 years in the insurance business, most of which was with B.B. Miller Insurance on North Broad Street. Retired a few years ago, joined Rotary in 1988. I was drafted, actually, by Bert Miller, who called me into his office one day and said, Ken, something new in your job, you're joining Rotary. I knew nothing about it, had no idea, joined, and it's been one of the, as Doug said, one of the best things that ever happened to me. It's been
so the Rotary Club. Joy. Tell us a little about what is the Rotary Club? You want to start, Doug? Or you
sure.
Want to start,
it's the world's oldest service organization. It was established in Chicago in 1905 by a fellow named Paul Harris, no relation to me. He was an attorney, and there were probably about 20 members that met in various offices, and they called it Rotary because they rotated the offices that they met in.
So isn't there a Harris Fellowship Award?
There is, yes. Yeah, the Harris name is on the Paul Harris Fellow. I think he also established the Rotary Foundation some years after Rotary International was formed. But what's significant in bringing it home to Elizabeth is it was only 12 years later, in 1917, that the Elizabeth Rotary Club was formed. And again, 20 to 25 members.
Right, 25 members originally.
All men, because it was an all-male club up until the 1980s, actually. Met a lot of big names in Elizabeth. Meeker from Meeker-Sharkey, Dr. Buzan, ophthalmologist. His grandson is currently in practice in both Elizabeth and in Summit. And a host of others.
Right, Alfred Stein,
Alfred Stein was the first president.
To become mayor. Right, not at that time, but when after that.
So when he joined the Rotary, he was not, when he helped start the Rotary, he wasn't mayor yet.
No, I don't believe so.
But that's not long thereafter.
No.
He was a mayor, I believe, in the 1920s.
Right, right.
Who else comes to mind? You know these guys?
Names are.
You know their families?
I go back a ways, but not that far.
At our 100th anniversary event, though, we're going to highlight all their names, and we hope to get a lot of input from the people that come to the event that know of or perhaps related to some of these people.
Well, it's fun. I met with Ken Ward the other day about the Historical Society. He tells me he's done research on all of these folks, and he has almost do you know about this?
Yeah, I know it's going to be a big presentation at the event. Well, we actually have the list from Rotary International from 1917. We have the actual list of original members, which is quite something that they still.
So Rotary International's kept this all these years.
Yeah, they did keep it. Yeah.
Okay. And 100 years of anything is a big deal.
Oh, that's for sure.
And especially a voluntary effort such as this dedicated to service, which Rotary is, vocational service, local community service, and international service.
Well, Doug, we taped this show for our viewers, in the afternoon, and I just left the Garden Restaurant where the Rotary's meeting while you guys are
playing
here.
Hooky today. Yeah,
you're playing hooky.
We get a pass.
You get penalized or what? What happens?
I think we get a makeup because we're doing Rotary business today.
Oh, okay.
So we're considered there.
But Ken, tell us about that. You're expected to be at a meeting a week, correct?
You are. We meet every week at the Garden Restaurant. I will say we have loosened up the attendance requirements over the years. It used to be 75, 80%, you were expected to be there, and you could actually be dropped from the club if you didn't meet those attendance requirements. Things are different now. Jobs don't allow them to be at the same place every week at the same time. So I think they've dropped the official requirement to 50% attendance, and we're happy when people participate, come and make as many meetings as they can. We can't hold people to the same.
And Doug, one of the things about the Rotary is you have to have a different trade or a
classification.
classification.
Member
it's called?
classification.
Okay.
I think it was probably originally started so that there wouldn't be competition and you wouldn't have 10 real estate agents in the club because you're
10 insurance
you're
people.
also networking, obviously, or 10 insurance
Or 10
agents.
hospital executives.
But the idea is true. The idea is also that you serve through your vocation as well. So you might teach a young person what you do as part of what you do in Rotary, or you might serve serve a project. Like my expertise is marketing, so I help market the club and market its different projects.
So are the two of you in Rotary, would you think you've helped teach more than you've learned, or is it? What do you think of that, Ken? Or you think you've learned more
I'd say
than
about
teach?
50-50. I've been involved in things that I never thought I would be involved in, and never knew I had like a talent for. Like I've chaired a few of the Taste of the Towns and Taste of Elizabeth, and I was an insurance guy. What did I know about running a fundraiser and something that, as large as they became? But I learned from watching people, and none of us who really knew how to do it, but each had a different talent, a different part of the event, and together we put together something that's been quite special, I think.
So Doug, tell me about the Elizabeth Rotary. Was there a one person's idea at that time, do you think, and it grew into the other 25? Or
Probably if you go back to the very original idea, it sounds like it was the small group led by one individual, this Paul Harris. And they decided to just start meeting. And I think it was initially social in nature and business, networking for business. And then the idea of, well, we're a group that's big enough and we're diverse enough, we can maybe give back to the community in some way. So I think that started early in Rotary. And now it's a core tenet of every club. And worldwide, there's 32,000 clubs now, over 1 million Rotary members across the world.
would you say, are they in every country in the world?
Just about every country.
Yeah, 200 countries around the world. So.
Have Rotary clubs.
Have the Rotary clubs, right?
But the reach is unbelievable. Rotary International has a polio eradication effort going on that they announced in the mid-'80s, and they're almost there. I think there's 3 countries that have a handful of cases each year, and that's mostly in the war-torn areas that you would imagine would be hard to get into because the vaccine has to be refrigerated. But we've actually sent members of the Elizabeth Club to Togo in that's Africa, I believe.
Right.
Well, Bill Melia, who's a member of the Rotary and has polio.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a big leader.
He's
in
been
this
a
area.
big
sure.
leader.
Yeah, it's
district
amazing
leader
that
and
somebody
regional leader
who had polio gets involved in an organization that later on, this was after Bill had joined, obviously, gets involved in polio eradication. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, because he's been on the show in the past talking about his zest for the elimination of polio.
Yeah. I think Rotary has immunized like 2.5 billion kids around the world against.
That's how many they've immunized?
Yeah, since it began, 2.5 billion.
Wow.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, the Gates Foundation has joined in too, so they've been matching some of the contributions that come to Rotary, and that's just spur the effort even more. So it'll happen, and it'll be soon.
99.9% eradicated.
So do you know Rotary on a national level, if we were 12 years off the start of Rotary altogether, who started the Rotary International? I mean, Paul Harris started here, right?
Well, it started in Chicago and then
Yeah.
grew internationally.
And it grew internationally.
It wasn't long before there were Rotary clubs in other countries. It was an idea that just took off.
Yeah, it's amazing how this little group of 4 people, and it just grew into this enormous.
So the original start in Chicago was 4 people.
Yep.
And it just kind of grew.
Right.
So how many are there other Rotaries in this area? We're the only. That's the only one. You're the only one in Elizabeth.
It's usually one per town.
Oh, it's one per town.
Usually, some have like a morning club. If they're really big, they have like a morning club and an evening club.
Really?
But there aren't that many of those anymore. Pretty much, it's.
I'll say, who has the time to do that?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, I think different people join. Different, like you can join the morning club or you can join
I
the
see.
evening club. So, yeah.
So do you interact with other Rotaries in the county or
We
in the
do,
state?
yeah. We're organized into districts, and here the district that we belong to has about 39 other clubs, and they do district activities. They'll have events, they'll have projects.
The end of the year.
Our current president, Art Lobdell, is very heavily involved in the district. Bill Melia is heavily involved in the polio effort at the district level, and actually at the multi-district level, because he's such a strong voice in that
So are
area.
there district grand poobahs or
There's a governor.
me not knowing the lack of the title? What is it called? District governor?
District governor.
District governor, yeah.
Yeah, he'll be at the 100th. He'll be saying a few words about
I'm sure he will.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
And is it still a male-dominated organization?
No, not at
No,
all.
no.
Not at all. And it took until the late 1980s before women were admitted. Now I think they're our strongest members.
They are, oh, without a doubt, yeah.
Yeah.
They may not be the biggest percentage in the club, but they're definitely the biggest percentage of people that get things done.
Yeah, that's a good thing to say during Women's History Month and during the month of March
never
when
thought
we're
of that,
taping
but-
this show. That's right.
I'll be a hero at home.
You will. You will. That'll go well. We're going to run some commercials, come back and talk more about the 100th, the centennial anniversary
Great.
of the Elizabeth Rotary. Please stay with us after these messages, where I'll be back with talking about the Elizabeth Centennial Rotary Club.
We're an American original, dependable, historic, nuanced, with all the comforts of home, even when you're just visiting. So we're celebrating for all that we've left untouched and all that we've changed. A place where the past meets the future. So consider this your invitation.
We've been celebrating here in Elizabeth for 350 years, and we're just getting started. Welcome back to our city, where I'm joined by Ken Richuso and Doug Harris, members of the Elizabeth Rotary Club, getting ready to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Rotary. Before we went to the break, we were talking about an international effort on polio. Are there other international efforts that the Rotary gets involved in?
There are food relief efforts. It seems like wherever the Red Cross goes, Rotary is right there
Right.
as well, helping Haiti, helping clean water efforts in the underdeveloped world. There's plenty of opportunities there.
Yeah.
And we've been involved in those,
So do
efforts as
you
well.
individuals travel to any of these things to do this, or do you?
Personally, we haven't, but
No.
members of our club
I was just going to ask,
have
members of
traveled.
your club have?
gone
Yeah.
to Africa for the polio. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. There's two. There's a project called Shelter Box, which we've contributed to. That I think we've done that in Haiti.
Yes.
They provide, if there's an earthquake or a flood or a landslide, Shelter Box provides. You couldn't really call it a tent. It's almost like a portable home that has stoves and things that people can actually live in
Right.
while their places are hopefully being rebuilt. But that's one. And clean water, pure water for the world is another. It's small, portable water purification systems that you can send to different third world countries.
So Ken, let me ask you.
Yeah.
When I've gone to Rotary Club meetings, and you're gracious enough to let me do my State of the City speech, but I also have gone for Police and Firemen of the Year awards and things. But one of the things you do is scholarships and to young people. So
Right.
tell me about the scholarship effort that not only you're involved in, but also the Rotary Club as a whole.
Sure. Our club started scholarships in 1982. No big plan, I believe. Just we're going to do scholarships. And then John Jacobson, who's been a long-time member, came up with the idea of selling lithographs to fund the scholarships. And we hired a artist, Frank McGinley, right? Am I saying that right? Yes. And he came up with a scene of Elizabeth. It was so popular that we got 5 more scenes. It was called Elizabeth Treasures of the Past. Sold a lot of lithographs, and that was the foundation of the scholarship fund. A few years later,
Are you still selling them?
well, I still have some actually.
yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think just one scene left, but we still have some. And then a few years later, a Rotarian named Al Davis, who was the manager of the Woolworths on Broad Street.
wow.
Unfortunately, Al passed away, but he left a very large sum of money to this new scholarship fund. So it was called the Al Davis Scholarship Fund. And his wife passed away a few years later, Louise Davis, and left us another large sum of money. So at that time, we had all these different funds together and decided it would be good to incorporate it into a 501c3 nonprofit and named it the Albert and Louise Davis Scholarship Fund of the Rotary Club of Elizabeth. That was 1986. And in the past 31 years, we've given $508,000 in scholarships to over 330 Elizabeth High School youngsters. So I think that's our largest project has definitely been the scholarship.
And do the kids compete for this, or how does it? They send in a letter of?
Yeah, we have an
something?
application that we that we have. It goes to the guidance counselors. The kids can then apply at any of the academies. We collect. In fact, I think they were there today. We collect them back, and we have 6 Rotarians who review them, and with different criteria, grades and need, of course, and community service, since we're a community service club, and have to, unfortunately, I think we had 116 applicants this year.
Oh, wow.
And they'll have to whittle that down to
A handful.
which
Are there Rotary branches in the schools?
yes, we have 3 Rotary-sponsored youth groups. There's Early Act, which the young kids. We have an Early Act club at Our Lady of Guadalupe Academy. We have an Interact club, that's high school. That's at all of Elizabeth High with the...
Councilman Maz is involved in that, right?
No, Kelly
No?
McCracken.
Oh, Kelly McCracken does that.
Kelly's been...
Oh, tell Kelly I apologize.
Kelly's been our advisor for all like 20... That club is about 23, 24 years old. She's been the advisor.
We should get
for all
Kelly
of
and some of
those.
the kids on the show someday.
That would be great. Yeah, they do a phenomenal job. And then last year, about a year and a half ago, we have a Rotaract club at Kane University, just starting out. So they're doing a terrific job too.
Ken
so.
can speak so well about this because he was part of each of those clubs' foundings, recruiting, I think, the
Yeah, a
original
little. I got
members.
my hand in
Yeah,
there.
a little bit. He's very modest, but he's there for all of their events.
Okay.
He provides moral support to them whenever possible.
Yeah.
Whenever they go do a beach sweep, he's down there doing the same.
It's the easiest job because you want
you
them
like it too,
you
right?
I love it. Yeah, and you want them to do projects, and you don't have to like suggest things at all. They've got ideas coming like that, so the projects just flow.
So, Doug, my notes tell me that the Rotary Club was featured during World War II for its service to Elizabeth General Hospital.
Correct.
And you worked at Elizabeth General Hospital before the merger.
Not during World War II, though.
Some people might think so, though, right, Doug? Tell us about what was going on with the Rotary Club and World War II.
Sure. Actually, I brought a copy of an enlarged article that appeared in the Rotarian, which is the national or the international magazine of Rotary. And it was January of 1944, and because the manpower shortage, the Rotarians of Elizabeth actually formed a corps that went to the Elizabeth General Hospital and did everything. And working in the hospital today, I can't believe how much access these Rotarians were given. They were in the emergency department. They drove ambulances. They helped splint wounds. They were in the operating room, moving equipment and lighting for the surgeons. Ken,
Yeah,
you wanna tell us who
there's
that is?
the man in the middle in this picture is Bert Miller's father.
This one here?
Yes.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, that's
And his grandchildren, Meredith, right? His
Meredith,
granddaughter is
right,
still
Meredith,
active
yeah.
in the club,
Right.
correct?
her husband is.
Her
Jim
husband's
is,
active,
yeah.
yeah. So- Oh, wow.
So
That was
that
Bert's
was
father.
just a glimpse of just one activity that the Rotarians have done over the years. The club has grown, obviously. In the 1960s, late 1960s, we were at about 130 members. With about 95% attendance, so you can imagine what those weekly meetings were like.
Yeah, there were 100 people at the
Today we
meeting.
have about low 40s members, maybe 42, 43 members. A good number of those are very active, and I think we do more as a club now than we did when we had 100 members as part of the club.
Yeah, it's just a huge difference from when I
Probably less
joined 30
bickering,
years
too. If you 40. Tell me about, we mentioned it real quick, Doug, but the Rotary runs the Taste of Elizabeth each year, which I find a fascinating event, and it's one of your major fundraisers. What do you take in, or you don't have to say how much, but what do you use it for?
Sure.
Tell us about that event.
Well, a core project of the club is to support local organizations and also the Davis Scholarship Fund. So we need money to do that. So the big fundraiser was one that we started in 1993. It was Taste of the Towns initially. It was held in Scotch Plains, and it involved
I
a
was
lot
at
of
that one.
restaurants. Okay, the first one.
I was at the first one in Scotch Plains.
And Mario Batali was there. Chef Mario Batali was there for.
He didn't have the name that he has now.
Yeah,
No.
that's for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Almost, we were right on. I think we put him over the top.
put him over the
actually.
top.
It was
We
the
did.
Elizabeth Rotary that did that, yeah. So Ken has taken the lion's share of the effort by recruiting the restaurants. He led the Taste of the Towns, and then helped it become Taste of Elizabeth about 10 years or so ago. And now it's not just Elizabeth restaurants, but it's predominantly Elizabeth restaurants.
Well, Doug's being the humble one now because he and a few other people were the ones that started the original Taste of the Towns 20 some odd years ago. So there wouldn't have been a Taste of Elizabeth without the Taste of the
I have
Towns.
to tell you, though, that event draws hundreds of people, if not 1,000.
Right.
But the Renaissance is where you have it now.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
You've practically outgrown the Renaissance.
We could get bigger,
You
but
could.
yeah.
I don't know if there's a bigger ballroom.
No, that's
in
it.
Elizabeth
Yeah.
Road
Yeah, there's
that has
about
access.
40 vendors.
Right.
Not all restaurants. There's coffee houses and bakeries in there.
You even bring hospital food.
And the hospital.
Right.
Who would know?
You get to,
and
you get to
and it's
rib 'em about
popular
that
too.
now,
They make
right?
me eat the hospital food.
People
all the
actually
time.
like it.
They do.
They do.
They smile and they enjoy the hospital food.
This coming year's event is going to be held on Monday night, October 16th. So if your viewers would kindly mark their calendars, we'll be much more active in promoting that.
Well, we're
this
going to have
year.
a show in September to talk about
Great.
the Taste of the Towns,
Great.
I'm sure. And October 16th is a Monday night. And what are the times of it?
5 o'clock till 8 o'clock.
Right. And you never get the people out of there at 8, do you?
No.
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 They're all
But they are there at 5.
They are there at 5.
Lined up.
And it's
Lined
always
up.
extremely crowded.
You
And so-
mentioned,
go ahead.
Mayor, the dollar amount. We did a little rough calculation, and our 23 food tasting events have brought in about $400,000.
Oh, wow.
So we've
And you've given most of that
oh,
out
it
in
all goes
scholarships.
out.
all goes
Sure,
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
it all goes out one.
All goes out in scholarships during the
Or donations
or
to
donations
other.
to other org- What are some of the other organizations you deal with?
Oh gosh.
Oh, right now there's a pledge that's being paid, $10,000 pledge to Elizabeth General, listen to me, Trinitas for its emergency department, which is an $18 million project. So the Rotary stepped up and made a 3-year pledge of $10,000.
Okay.
So that's something we're paying off now. Where Angels Play,
Where Angels Play, we were a
Playground,
big contributor
was
to
another
that.
$10,000 grant.
They wrote a book. Bill Lavin wrote a book, and the Rotary is prominently mentioned
Oh,
in the
nice.
book. As
I
a,
haven't- I
you
didn't know
haven't
that.
seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Well, I
didn't
have
know
the
that.
book.
Oh, okay.
And I'll lend you my copy. And it's by Bill Lavin, who founded Where Angels Play. And so I'll definitely get it to you so you
Great,
can read
great.
it. Yeah.
We give a lot of grants out, though.
Yeah.
A lot of applicants that come to us.
Sure. Oh,
Community
YW,
Access,
yeah.
Bridgeway, the Y.
Both Ys,
Jewish
YM,
Family
YW.
Service.
Taste of the Town's going good this year?
It will.
So the focus on the Taste of the Towns is going to be after the 100th.
Oh, without a doubt.
Is what
yeah.
you're telling
I
me.
don't think Ken ever gets a day off from Taste of the Towns. He just finishes recruiting restaurants for one, and then the next event is ready to go.
So before we break the show, can you, one of you, tell us, our viewers, on where they can get tickets if they're interested in the Centennial? Doug, you want to do that?
Yeah, the Centennial event will be held on April 21st at the Renaissance Hotel at 6 o'clock. It's going to be a great event. We've sold almost 100 tickets already. I think we're going to have a fantastic showing. We're going to talk a lot about our history, but we're going to have fun doing it. Primarily, people can go to the Elizabeth Rotary website, which is elizabethrotary.org, and they can buy their tickets right off the website. Or they can call the B.B. Miller
Right.
phone number, where Bill Melia will be happy to send tickets to you or reserve them for you.
Right.
And that number, Ken, do you remember for
Oh,
those
yeah, I
days?
might. Yeah, after 908-352-7300.
Oh, good.
That'll never leave.
Yeah. You probably remember where the EL numbers, right?
No, I think we were still all the numbers when I started there.
Doug and Ken, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show.
Thanks
I
so
look
much for
forward
helping
to
us.
the 100th anniversary,
Great.
and I'm sure it's going to be a great
We
success.
look forward to seeing you.
Great, thank you.
For Mr. Doug Harris and Mr. Ken Richuso, I'm Chris Bolwage. We'll see you next week on another edition of Our City.
We're creating tomorrow's jobs today. Kane University.